All right, so I'm Ryan Boyk. I've been working in technology since 1998. I've done a lot of phone systems, hundreds of phone systems in that time. I've done hundreds of unified communication solutions in that time, and specifically a lot in the credit union space. So that's why we're here today. I'm going to tell you in 25 minutes or less everything that you need to know, whether or not you're evaluating UCaaS for the first time or the third time, what to watch out for. Joe?
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Joe Mauk. I'm a Unified Communications Engineer here at C3, and look forward to the next 25 minutes with you guys.
Jim?
Hello, I'm Jim Thiemet. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for Madison County Federal Credit Union. I've been here for about 20 years, and of course, communications technology, it's constantly changing, so it's something you really have to stay on top of and constantly evaluate.
All right, thanks, Jim. So here's the agenda. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a professional presenter or public speaker, so I might get a little choppy, but like I said, I'm here to give you the facts that you need to know. So I'm going to spend 2 minutes, we're going to spend 2 minutes on what is unified communications as a service, because it is drastically different than it was even 4 or 5 years ago. Then we're going to go right to having Jim Thiemet, the Chief Technology Officer, talk, because he just went through this several months ago. So let's talk about the journey from where he was to getting on a unified communications as a service solution and what it did for him. We're going to talk about, I'm going to tell you exactly why UCaaS is so easy and perfect for credit unions. We're going to go through the gotchas that you need to look out for as you're considering a UC solution. Talk about C3's role, how we help, and then we're going to give away that awesome tablet. So please send in questions at any time. We'd love to answer them live for everybody. So what is UCaaS? So it's Unified Communications as a Service is what it stands for. And it's really only been around about 4 or 5 years. Before then, a lot of these applications that you see on here have been separate. Now hosted voice has been around for a long time, for decades. And we've been putting that in, like I said, for a long time. It might have went by the words of hosted VoIP, cloud PBX, hosted phone system, whatever you want to call it. That's typically all it was. It was a phone system that gave you dial tone, your voicemail box, call forward, and different features like that. All the other apps were typically separate. Fax was its own animal on analog lines, or a PRI into a Brook Trout server, which added cost and complexity for IT. Texting was separate. You had to have your ZipWhip text service. People had Zoom or Cisco WebEx for video meetings. Didn't have the analytics that you have today. Now you got more analytics than you can possibly fathom. The integrations with UC, Unified Communications as a Service, is a game changer. Common integrations are with your CRMs like Salesforce and ServiceNow, or Microsoft Teams and Office 365. Definitely improves the user experience and the customer experience as well. It can be deployed globally. You can collaborate better both internally and externally, and it has call center features to provide superior customer service and grow your business. So any questions on this at all? Or Joe, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, I mean, real quick, when you look at credit unions and maybe specifically tellers, they start down in that bottom, that cloud PBX area, and pretty much just voice, right? So they have dial tone, maybe they have a small handset at their teller station, but now you get all of these additional tools. And the cool thing is that for the employees of the financial institution, the credit union that needs that collaboration, that text, the eFax, they can have it. But they also have the capabilities of, if you are a teller and you just need that dial tone, there's licensing for that as well. So it's really granular. So you're not paying for that full-fledged license for somebody that's not going to take advantage of all of the capabilities here. And then lastly, just really hitting on what you talked about with integrations, a lot of financial institutions use Fiserv. Whether it's on-premise or it's hosted, that's another CRM that we see integrations within contact center and unified communications.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. So yeah, the point I wanted to make here, everybody, is that unified communications now can replace 6 or 7 other applications that years ago were separate, which added cost and complexity. Now it's all in one interface from one vendor and one license. So that's good, and it improves the experience. So now, hey, let's just go to Jim. He just went through this, and he's going to talk to us about his journey to UCaaS and how it impacted his business of Madison County Federal Credit Union, multiple location credit union. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, when we started off, we were not even on that last PowerPoint, how we had all of the different services that were there. We weren't even on that page. We had a basic on-premise Toshiba phone system. We had a total of 5 offices that were all interconnected through very basic communications. We were notified rather suddenly that Toshiba was going to exit the communication space, and the phone system we had was instantly obsolete. I was kind of taken aback because I only had 10 months to begin evaluation to full implementation. We were immediately turned to, through our core processor, they sent us up to Ryan and his team at C3. It was a huge godsend. Ryan, he led us by the hand through the whole process. It would have been a very daunting task, to say the least, without Ryan's input. He showed us numerous platforms. We evaluated, how many was it? I think 3 or 4 different platforms.
Yeah.
And we decided on the Ring Central. With that Ring Central, it gave us everything that was on that last slide. All of a sudden, we went from the Stone Age to the computer age just overnight. We had capabilities like we couldn't believe. On the administrative side, it made my job so easy. And I think one of the biggest things that I'm most thankful for was all the analog lines and all the different communications we had in place. I didn't realize how costly they were until we went to this solution. The cost savings was just phenomenal. So overall, it was a very easy process where it could have been, very, very scary, very frightening. This was all before COVID as well. We didn't realize how fortunate it was that we lost our phone system, because now that we had this system in place, COVID comes around, 9 months later after we went live. All of a sudden, we had everything we needed. We could work from home. We could simply take our desk phone, bring them home, plug them into the wall. We're speaking from home, just like we were here at the credit union. Everyone has a mobile device. Our disaster recovery scenario was improved 10. So my life was greatly simplified, and I feel a lot better for it.
Well, thank you, Jim. So I got a quick question for you. We obviously spent some time to understand your needs and environment, and brought several solutions in, and taught you all the benefits of everything. But was there anything that you were surprised about that you say, oh, I didn't think about that, but man, UCaaS is really great at this, a great feature for UCaaS that we didn't even think about how it positively impacted the business?
There again, I'll go back to the cost savings. Of course, that's, first and foremost, one of the things you think about. But I think, the letter U in UCaaS, unified. We didn't really understand what unified communications was. Once you have it and you begin exploring all the capabilities, you realize it is seamless. We wanted to start a staff meeting going through COVID. We had the video capability through the Ring Central meetings. We didn't even really think about it, didn't even give a second thought during the implementation. It's like, well, that's a great bell and whistle, probably never going to use it. All of a sudden, we were using it every other day to keep our staff all on the same page and to reassure them through the daily changes that were taking place through the shutdown. Just everything being tied together, from the faxes all of a sudden showing up in your email box to the voicemail, everything tied together was simply unfathomable for where we were.
Okay. Well, man, it really is the easy button. I love that picture that Taylor put in there. So, Taylor, any questions coming in for Jim at all that people want to ask Jim specifically because he might be in their shoes?
Yeah, definitely. We have one question so far, and the question is, we just signed with a new provider for 36 months of SIP PRI handoff with the telco. Is the solution out for the next 3 years?
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan. Yeah, please.
It doesn't have to be, because customer service is number one in the credit union space. So how do you put a cost on that? If you're losing members, if you can't give your members the channels to communicate how they want to communicate with you, don't treat the customer how you want to be treated. Treat the customer how they want to be treated. If I want to chat or email or text my loan officer. I don't want to call. You should give me that ability, or I'm going to go to the competitor across the street that maybe does a better job of service. What was that example, Joe? Since we're on customer service, Nordstrom, you did the Nordstrom Rack program, right? What's your story on that?
You're stealing my thunder from later in the presentation, but
okay, well, we can skip it then if you want.
Well, just real quick, to answer that question as well, what we've been able to do in the past is when you've got that SIP or PRI contract, you've got a minimum monthly spend, right? We have the capability of possibly going back to your vendor and saying, we want to spend that money somewhere else. We want to spend it on an internet circuit. And as long as you continue to spend the same amount with the company, they're not going to care whether it's a SIP trunk or PRI or 100 meg DIA circuit. At that point, you can change where you're spending your money to provide that better highway out to the UCaaS vendors of the world. So I think we have some options, absolutely. And I think anyone in that situation, we can have a conversation with.
Yeah. So and then come to we can help potentially with negotiating with the carrier on that to maybe get you off that onto something better. Jim, did you have a question or anything?
Yeah, I was in that same exact situation. I had just signed for another 36 months, just like you're talking about, just before all this went down. And I was really surprised at how agreeable the carrier was to transform that monthly spend into something else. It was not an issue at all.
Okay. I'm going to move on, I think, here because we're already halfway at our halfway mark. But if more questions come in that you want to ask Jim, let us know, folks. We'll answer them live. We got Jim sitting here, and he, like I said, he just went through this. Could be a good resource. But why the financial sector? Why is it so easy? Why does it make so much sense? After doing hundreds of deployments, here's what I boiled it down to right here. There's lots of mergers and acquisitions in your space. I don't need to tell you that. What happens in that situation? Well, there's disparate systems, with the phone system being one of them. You need to communicate and collaborate to work better and efficiently. So what's the answer? It's UCaaS. You can bring everybody all under one platform almost instantly. You can add them onto your system. They can download the desktop application. If you ship them a phone, maybe, or just give them a headset, and they're part of your system. Opening new branches, moving to a branch, you need more space or whatever. Well, you guys remember, a decade ago where you might have had to call the phone carrier and say, hey, we're moving, a mile away. We got some good real estate. And first of all, your number is even portable with the PSTN. So that's always an issue. Then you got to order lines and double pay on your lines while things are getting moved, or a PRI line and double pay, or wait 3 months for that. Move your phone system over there. There's going to be inevitable downtime. Well, guess what? UCaaS. Okay, I'm moving to my new branch. I'm going to pick my phone up at the old branch. I'm going to move and plug it in. Simple, very simple. Customer service. So I want to hit on this a little bit more. Joe, you want to jump in, or should I just dominate this slide here on the customer service?
No, I think this is now the time where you wanted me to hit on that Nordstrom's example. And again, we really do focus on your customers, right? So our customers' customers are what mean the most to us. And when you talk about financial institutions or retail, it really is the customer service experience. So the Nordstrom's example is the fact that they're not the cheapest, but people shop there. And why do they shop there? It's because it's a great experience. You think about Amazon as well, right? Amazon might not be the cheapest, but people go there because they get 2-day shipping. If they don't like it, they can return it for free. The experience is number one, and that's really proven that experience is number one for retaining customers and gaining new customers. Number two is company or brand name. So obviously, if you're a financial institution within a certain geographical area, you've got some pull with certain demographics, right? But again, that customer service could lean other people coming to your institution versus working with somebody else. And lastly is price. So maybe you guys don't sell something, but you have rates. I can tell you from my experience with my financial institution, I would pay a premium to have good service, maybe a little bit higher of an interest rate on a loan, knowing that I can easily maintain or do what I need to do without even having to go into the branch. So the key really is customer service has to be number one.
Yep. And technology gives you that ability to provide unparalleled levels of customer service, no doubt.
Yep.
Own your phone number, so the numbers are yours. You don't have to worry about some lender or employee giving out their cell number, and if they leave, they take your customers with them. Integrations with business applications, guys, it's a game changer. That's a whole other webinar in amongst itself. Why integrate? Well, you can serve more customers faster. You can click the call right from your application. You get better insights into team performance and dozens of them. So reach out to us. We'll take that one separate. All the call center features you could possibly want, all the channels I mentioned. You can do a phone queue, an email queue, a chat queue, a social media queue. And that, again, will allow you to let your customers communicate with you how they want to communicate. Lastly, but not least, security. A lot of compliances to worry about. Do you want to get those off your plate, or do you want to try to figure out, do I need to encrypt my faxes? Where am I storing my voicemails, and so on and so forth? Just let the UCaaS provider take care of all that.
Yeah, and real quick, Ryan, going back to contact center, that's a big key. So when you take your new phone system and you add a contact center to it, you now have the capability of maybe offering co-browsing. So if somebody's on your website, they don't know where to go, you can co-browse with them, instruct them where to go. That's a big key. Voice authentication, right? So now you can offer voice authentication through an IVR that allows your customers to authenticate who they are, do self-service. Right? That's another big one where maybe they can check their balance just by dialing into an IVR versus having to go online or call and talk to an agent directly.
Yeah, and that alone, some of those things you mentioned, the authentication will provide like 45% reduction in call handling time. So you can, again, serve more customers better. And a lot of agents, call center agents will complain. Their number one complaint is that they don't have the right tools to do their job. They have to flip back and forth, and it's just cumbersome. So the integrations and the intuitiveness of the UCaaS platforms are just game changers. And that's a better employee experience, which will give you a better customer experience as well. All right, you good? All right, the gotchas. We learned a lot of these the hard way, and we're gonna make sure that you don't make the same mistake here. So hidden provider fees vary, and not all vendors, I guess, but some of them will not bring those out on the proposal or the quote. They'll give you a proposal that says, here's the price for a gold license and a silver license, and that's that. But then when you get the bill, there's a carrier recovery fee on there. There's a compliance fee. There's what are some of the other, holy macaroni fees, and it's crazy what some of them, and it can add up to almost like 20% of the license cost.
Well, the next line, E911 fee.
There you go. That's another one. Those vary. And speaking of E911, you got to really be careful there because the laws have changed recently and they vary by state. So you need to evaluate that closely, or you could be in trouble with the law. So make sure you say, hey, how are you under E911? Are you familiar with Kerry's law and all the other laws that are out there to meet those compliances? Same thing with call recording laws. The consent to record a call varies by state. Make sure you're familiar with that. Are you? You need to tell them. So these are some gotchas that we found along the way. ISP connectivity, internet service, we can help with that actually. We did that for Jim at Madison County. Number porting, we always suggest to validate number porting ahead of time. About once a year, I'm on a project where, for whatever reason, there's 3 or 4 phone numbers from some long lost mom and pop telecom company in northern part of the state, and I don't know where they came from, but they just won't port. So then you got to make a decision. Do you just let them go? Do you pay for a super expensive call forwarding of those to the UCaaS provider? That's another one. So the LAN, your local, go ahead.
I was just going to ask Jim to chime in, and I hate to put you on the spot, but obviously these are things that we see on a daily basis when we're working with customers. Were any of these, as far as call recording, E911, internal cabling, were these things that you had to address when you went to Ring Central?
Not really. We had most of the infrastructure taken care of. Of course, we really had to bone up on the E911 because we did not do VoIP prior to this. So we had to learn that pretty quickly and get comfortable with it. We also chose to do call recording for every call. So we needed to address that in the form of a pre-recorded message that goes out with every call, letting everyone know that it is being recorded because, like Ryan said, it's the law. So we did have to very quickly catch up to the regs that were out there.
Yep.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Well, I'm gonna move on because we're coming up on time. So I hopefully explained why UCaaS is so easy and why it's the right thing for credit union space. Now, what role do we provide? Well, number one, it's experience, folks. Like I said, I'm coming up on 1,000 UCaaS deployments. If you are in the process of evaluating your UCaaS or for the first time or third time, we should probably talk. We can help you save time and avoid the mistakes like those gotchas we just talked about. We're going to design and price several solutions that meet or exceed your criteria. We're going to get to know your environment, get to know your business, and kind of walk you through demonstrations and to validate proof of concepts, the right solution. Negotiation power, pricing. Because of the position that we're in, we can ethically pit these providers against one another behind the curtain to get you better pricing than you would ever be able to get on your own. And we know pricing benchmarks as well. So we've got dozens of active projects. And so based on other projects, I can say, well, I can get you this price here, because you gave this price last month, or I can get you free phones or whatever the case may be. We got a lot of power with these vendors because we have a big book of business with them. Speaking of that, yeah, we got hundreds of RingCentral customers and Vonage customers and all the other ones. If you need an escalation with something or want a feature or a change, if you call them up, they might just say, well, no, that's denied. But if we call them up, odds are they're gonna probably do what we tell them to do, just because they want us to keep advocating their solution because of our organization. So another thing, unbiased research and analysis. So I believe that you should never, and a business leader, an IT leader, never buys a technology from a salesperson at the provider, because they're selling what they have and looking out for them. Work with trusted advisors like us that are looking out for you. The gotchas, the life cycle support, all that stuff, we provide all that at no charge. Now, a couple of minutes left, then we're going to give away that tablet, so hang on. Any questions, Taylor?
We do not have any. Oh, wait. Nope. No questions.
So just to let everyone know, C3 Technology Advisors does consult in other areas besides UCaaS. So if I go clockwise up from UCaaS, right there in the bottom left, all things cloud, which is disaster recovery as a service, infrastructure as a service, backup as a service, all those ases. We have engineers that support our customers there. Co-location, a better reliable data center for your gear. Cybersecurity, which is red hot right now. You need to pay attention in that area. Software-defined wide area networking in the bottom right hand. In the middle there, the sunshine, we can get you internet service anywhere on the planet, and we can give you the best pricing there as well because of what we said with the pricing benchmarks. We can pit them together or pit them against one another, excuse me.
Right. Before you switch real quick, SD-WAN is definitely something that a credit union should be looking at. When you're trying to get out to a SaaS provider, a UCaaS provider, using an SD-WAN technology gives you the capability of using 2 circuits at one time and possibly be in the same data center as that new hosted phone system. So you can extend your network securely out to where you're trying to get for a better experience. And don't forget about security with, where we're at these days and people working from home. You need to make sure they're safe and secure.
Oh, it's huge. 90% of the credit union projects that we get into are using SD-WAN and at least two ISP links per location, sometimes a third, sometimes a wireless. And our tools will tell us how to make sure that the ISP links are redundant and diverse from one another, because we have maps of where the plant goes, so we'll do a fiber line or an aerial cable line, and then 4G or fixed Ethernet wireless and so on. Good point, Joe, thanks. Who is C3? We're just a bunch of consultants and advisors with a lot of experience, and we help businesses avoid making purchasing mistakes with technology. We got the benchmarking experience and all relationships with thousands of providers to help businesses run. So thank you. And this is just my contact information, folks. Reach out. I'll be happy to give you some updates, talk about what you have and how it could relate to other projects we've done and what it might look like in your environment. And then obviously help engage in the journey towards unified communications as a service, which is where you need to be. Thanks. Look forward to talking to you.